Shocking homecoming. The millionaire finds his son with a new housekeeper who holds a secret. Michael Harrington stood at the entrance of his sprawling ancestral estate in the heart of Massachusetts. The echo of his footsteps swallowed by the vast emptiness. After years of chasing fleeting business success and lucrative deals, the estate should have felt like a warm embrace. Instead, it loomed like a haunted shell, filled with whispers of the past. Does home still exist when the familiarity has turned into a ghost? As he stepped inside, the air tasted stale, a melancholic reminder of long-forgotten laughter and celebrations now derailed by tragedy. Faded portraits lined the walls, their painted eyes watching him, judging him for his absence. It wasn't just the home that had decayed, it was him. And yet, as he wandered through the grand, silent rooms, memories of family dinners and sunlit mornings began to dance, tugging at his heart. But that peace shattered when he caught sight of Jamie. His son, once a bright-eyed boy, now a young man with a brooding expression, sat at the vast dining table, sharing a meal with Eliza, the new housekeeper. She was charming, her laughter light, but there was something in her gaze that unnerved him. A flicker of recognition danced in her eyes. Did she know something? The tension thickened as they broke bread together. Michael felt it coil tightly around his chest, a stark contrast to the elaborate spread laid out before them. Every clinking fork echoed with unspoken questions. What secret did Eliza harbor? What had happened in his absence? Eliza met his gaze, a knowing smile plastered on her face, yet Michael sensed shadows lurking behind those bright eyes. Was it possible she had answers about his late wife? Answers he wasn't ready to confront? He had buried those demons long ago, yet her presence sparked a fire, mingled with fear and fascination. As the meal dragged on, every laugh, every glance shared between Jamie and Eliza felt like a knife twisting deeper inside him. Michael excused himself, retreating into the study, his sanctuary amid chaos, yet he felt compelled to investigate. What was the connection between Eliza and a past he wished to forget? A series of small coincidences unfolded in his mind, whispers of tragedy, of unresolved pain. Could she hold the key to a disaster he had always feared would revisit him? Just as he reached for his phone to dig deeper into Eliza's history, the shrill ring disrupted his thoughts. It was his lawyer, voice urgent and trembling. "Michael, you need to be aware that someone from your past is about to shake everything you thought secure." Panic gripped him as he heard the name, a name that conjured horrific memories. Could it be? The stakes felt insurmountable. He looked back toward the dining room where Jamie and Eliza now shared quiet conversation, unaware of the storm brewing. Would trust lead him to betrayal? All he wanted was a family connection. Yet the price seemed higher than he anticipated. Michael Harrington found himself at a crossroads, heart racing, caught between past glories and looming threats, desperate for clarity in a world spinning out of control. Before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Michael stood frozen, heart pounding, listening to his lawyer's frantic voice. The name echoed in his mind, sending icy dread coursing through him. He glanced back at Jamie and Eliza. Their laughter felt distant now, a cruel mockery of the peace he craved. His palms went clammy as he clutched the phone tighter. "Who?" he managed to croak out. The lawyer hesitated, breaths heavy with tension. "Emily, your wife, or rather, the woman you thought was your wife." Michael's world tilted. Emily, The woman he lost years ago. The memories of her flooded back. The joyful bubble of their life together. The smothering void left by her absence. Yet, there was more. What do you mean? Michael, she's alive. She resurfaced under circumstances. Well, let's just say you need to come to the office. His mind raced. Alive? He'd buried the ghosts long ago, hadn't he? If Emily was somehow still out there, what did that mean for everything he built since her disappearance? What of Jamie, his son, raised without his mother? He felt dizzy, the walls closing in around him. He couldn't breathe. The air, once stale, now felt like a ticking clock, every second stretching into eternity. Eliza's image flickered in his mind. What if she knew? Why was she here? Forcing his legs to move, he crossed back into the dining room. His voice cracked as he called out, "Jamie! Dad?" Jamie looked up, confusion etched on his face. "Can you and Eliza give me a moment?" The words tumbled out colder than he intended. Jamie met his gaze, a mix of concern and surprise filling his expression. Eliza stood quietly beside him, the light atmosphere dimming. "Everything okay?" Jamie asked, worry creeping into his voice. His tone. "Not right now," Michael snapped, emotions raw and pulsing through him. As they stepped outside, leaving the shadows of the dining room behind, Michael noticed Eliza holding on to a set of keys, her expression unreadable. The sunlight poured over her, illuminating the secrets she seemed to carry like a cloak. Something twisted in his gut. "Eliza, what do you know about Emily?" Her smile faded in an instant, eyes flaring with something darker. "It's not what I know." Michael. Before she could continue, a sudden thud echoed from the hallway. The front. Jamie's voice was palpable. Michael's heart raced as he sprinted back into the estate, Eliza trailing behind. What lay waiting in the hallway sent a jolt through him. A letter on the floor, coffee stained at the edges, scrawled handwriting that made his blood run cold. "Dad, it's from Mom." Jamie's voice cut through the chaos, eyes wide with shock. Michael's breath caught in his throat as he bent down, trembling fingers hovering over the paper. The handwriting was unmistakable. And the words? They crashed into him like a tidal wave. "I'm coming home. You need to know the truth." His world spiraled. Time froze. There was too much to process. Was this real? Did Emily truly return? And was she bringing secrets that could undo everything he thought he had? He felt Eliza's presence looming behind him, the weight of shadows pressing in tighter. Michael's heart raced faster, reality unraveling beneath his feet. "What truth?" he whispered, but even he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. As the letter trembled in his grasp, a terrifying question lingered. Was Emily returning to save them, or to destroy the fragile world he had built? Suddenly, a figure appeared in the doorway, silhouetted against the sunlight, and Michael's gut twisted again. The figure was familiar. Heart in his throat, he squinted. "Mom?" Jamie's voice trembled on the edge of disbelief, and in that moment, everything paused. The answer he desperately sought loomed before him, a cataclysmic collision of past and present. Michael Harrington stood paralyzed, caught between the life he knew and the one he had long lost, desperate and terrified. What was about to unfold? Michael stood frozen, heart pounding, as the figure in the doorway grew clearer. His mind raced. Shadows and memories swirled, colliding violently with the present. This was not just any moment. It was a reckoning. "Mom?" Jamie's voice trembled, reflecting the disbelief etched on his face. Michael squinted against the light, his breath hitching in his throat. The woman before him had the same striking blonde hair, the same familiar curves of a face haunted his dreams. But something was off. A dull ache bloomed in his chest. Emily stepped forward, eyes scanning the room, darting from Jamie to Michael with sharp precision. "I came as soon as I heard." Her voice broke like glass. "What do you mean you heard? Where have you been?" Michael's voice cracked, a mixture of anger and relief battling within him. Eliza moved back, as if she sensed the crackling tension. There was something in her posture, a protective instinct, that Michael had not paid attention to until now. "Michael." Emily's tone shifted, full of urgency. "There's so much you don't understand. I didn't just disappear. I had to. I had no choice."
Are you talking about? You left us. You left him.
Michael gestured towards Jamie, whose confused expression twisted into a mix of hope and concern. Before Emily could respond, an abnormal buzzing filled the air. It was coming from Eliza's pocket. She pulled out her phone, eyes widening. Panic rippled through her features, like a flicker of lightning before a storm. "I need to take this," she said, her voice suddenly steely. "Now? Eliza?" "No, Michael, you don't understand." She cut him off, rushing towards the hall. "It's important." But the door slammed shut behind her, isolating them in an electric silence. Emily stepped closer, eyes alight with something dark, a flicker of fear mixing with her resolve. "You have to listen to me. It's not just about me coming back, it's about who I really am." Michael felt his heart seize. "What do you mean, who you really are? You are Emily. You're Jamie's mother." "No," she yelled, her voice echoing and shattering. "I'm not who you think I am. I never was." A chill spread over the room. Jamie looked between his father and mother, confusion morphing into horror. "What are you saying? What do you mean?" Emily hesitated, swallowing hard, her fingers clenched into fists. "I'm your mother, yes, but I'm not the person you remember. Not anymore. I'm in deeper than you know. There's a reason. I was taken. There's a reason I couldn't tell you before." Panic coursed through Michael. "Taken? By who? What have you done?" At that moment, the floor beneath them shook, a low rumble that morphed into a thunderous crash. Pictures rattled on the walls. "What the hell?" Jamie yelled. Rushing to the window, Michael's stomach dropped. The driveway was filled with dark SUVs, their windows tinted, engines roaring like some nightmare in the daylight. Dark figures emerged, moving with calculated precision. One stepped forward, waving didn't know what. Michael's blood ran cold. He turned to Emily, knowing deep down that the truth was about to unfold. Eliza burst in, eyes frantic. "They're here, Michael. They're coming for Emily." As Michael's head spun, he could only think one thing. Nothing would ever be the same. With secrets unraveling and enemies closing in, betrayal hung in the air like a thick fog. Who was Eliza really? What part did she play? "Emily, who are you?" he whispered, terror creeping up his spine. "More than you can imagine," she replied, eyes fierce. That moment stretched, taut and trembling, the reality of his life hanging by a thread. As the door began to creak open, Michael felt every muscle tense, the impending storm crashing down on them. Would they withstand it? The truth was closing in fast, and with it came questions he was terrified to answer. Michael stood frozen, heart pounding, staring at Emily, the figure from his past he thought he'd buried. He felt the air crackle with tension, and it all felt too surreal. Jamie's voice trembled, while the echoes of Emily's revelations hung heavily in the room. An uneasy silence enveloped them when the door creaked open. "Mom?" Jamie breathed, stepping closer, disbelief painting his features. As Emily inhaled sharply, another rumble echoed from outside, growing louder, shaking the floor beneath their feet. Suddenly, the windows rattled, and the door to the room slammed open, revealing a man clad in black. He stepped inside, shadow enveloping him like a cloak. "Damien," Emily whispered, her voice barely audible. Michael's chest tightened. The name bounced around in his mind, stirring up shadows of a presence he'd felt but never fully understood. "Who is he?" Michael demanded, eyes darting back to Emily. "This is not what you think," Emily shot back, a shudder of panic coursing through her. "Damien he's from my past, a chapter I thought I could escape." Damien's gaze flicked from Emily to Michael. "I'm not here to hurt anyone. I came to help, but Emily, you're in danger." His voice was smooth, almost hypnotic, yet laced with urgency. Why? What did you do? Michael's heart raced. You can't just waltz in here with threats. What's happening? Emily winced, as if struck by a blow. What I didn't
Tell you, the reason I disappeared is tied to Damien. It's much bigger than you realize. Her eyes pleaded with him to understand, but Michael felt the world tilting beneath him. Jamie, still half in shock, asked, "What do you mean, tied to Damien? Mom, just tell us." Before Emily could respond, a crash echoed from the driveway, followed by shouting and the sound of boots thudding on the porch. Michael's pulse quickened, drawing his attention to the window. Dark figures surged toward the house, their faces obscured by masks. "Michael, we need to go." Eliza re-entered, urgency etched across her face. She grabbed Jamie's arm, her grip fierce. "Now, both of you." Confusion swirled. "What? Do you know?" Michael yelled after her. But Eliza was already moving, her eyes filled with a frenetic energy. "I told you, you're all in danger." She tugged Jamie towards the back door. "They're after your mother's secret. We don't have time." The door blasted open, framing a chaotic scene. Figures stormed in, weapons drawn. Michael instinctively pulled Jamie behind him, heart racing. "We need to protect Emily," he shouted. But as he turned to face her again, the room warped. Everything shifted. Emily transformed. Her shape flickered, almost melting, as if the light was bending around her. "Michael!" Jamie cried out, horror filling his voice. And in that instant, the truth shattered through the air. Like glass, Emily's face morphed, revealing not just a different face but a different reality. Her eyes glimmered with an alien intensity that made Michael's blood run cold. "Emily is gone," the figure said, her voice different, chillingly calm. "I am not who I used to be. I'm something much more. I needed to survive, Michael, and I made choices. Choices that haunt me now." Time froze. "Who are you?" Michael's voice was just a whisper, the weight of realization settling heavy around his shoulders. The room spun. Jamie staggered back, confusion turning to utter disbelief. Eliza stood frozen, mouth open, as sharp breaths filled the silence. "You think it's just about Emily being back?" she said slowly. "You have no idea what's about to come crashing down." Then, all at once, everything exploded in chaos. The dark figures rushed in. Eliza pushed Jamie into Michael's arms, and the world tilted into darkness as gunshots echoed around them. The last thing he saw before the roar of chaos enveloped him was a knowing smile on Emily's face. And in that moment, Michael understood that nothing would ever be the same. Who was she really, and what secrets lay buried beneath the surface, waiting to destroy everything they believed? Michael stood frozen, heart pounding, trapped in a surreal moment. Gunfire erupted outside, heavy thuds reverberated in the walls, and the air thickened with chaos. Jamie's wide eyes met his, fear streaming through their bond. Emily, or whatever she had become, stood before them, exuding an unsettling energy, as if the ground beneath them reeked of shadows and lies. Before he could even decipher his thoughts, a sudden blast shook the room, rattling the very foundations of their world. The windows shattered instantly, spraying glass like a glittering rainstorm, and a flash of light ignited the doorway. "No!" Eliza shouted, sprinting back towards them, her face pale as a ghost. "They're inside! They've breached the perimeter!" Panic roared in Michael's chest, and instinct kicked in. He grabbed Jamie's hand, dragging him back to safety as the chaos unfolded. "Stay close to me!" His voice was firm, cutting through the overwhelming dread, but Jamie's eyes were glued to Emily, who stood rooted, a statue of indecision. "Mom!" Jamie cried out, the desperation in his voice twisted like a knife in Michael's gut. "What's happening?" Emily opened her mouth, but before she could speak, Damien lunged past her, eyes locked on the doorway. "We have to move. They're not here for you, Emily. They want something from you." Michael's heart raced, the words clawing at his mind. What do you mean, they want something from her? But the answer was drowned out by another explosive crash, this time followed by loud shouts, drawing near.
They were out of time.
Everyone, to the basement, Eliza commanded, her authority slicing through the tumult. Now. But as they turned to follow her, another voice chimed in, smooth and calm, echoing from the shadows. Oh, isn't this a lovely family reunion? The room chilled as a figure stepped forward, tall, broad-shouldered, and clad in black. It was a man Michael had never seen before, yet his presence felt familiar, like a haunting melody. He wore a smirk that sent shivers down Michael's spine. "Who are you?"
Michael's voice was a raw whisper, filled with disbelief.
"Let me introduce myself," the man said nonchalantly, moving closer.
"I'm Marcus, and you, Michael, are deeper in this mess than you could ever understand."
"What mess?" Michael spat, adrenaline fueling his anger. "What do you want with my family?" "Family? Such sweet innocence." Marcus chuckled darkly.
"What I want, and what I need, is your cooperation, Emily. You've kept your secrets long enough." Emily straightened, anger igniting in her eyes. "I won't help you." But in that instant, two masked figures stormed in, grabbing Jamie, yanking him backward towards the chaos.
"Jamie!"
Michael lunged forward, but there was no time. A flash of light enveloped them, and then it was gone, as if they had vanished. "No!" Michael roared, heart dropping, feeling Jamie's absence crash into him like a wave. "Where is he?" Emily's expression shifted. Panic morphed into fierce determination as
she turned toward Marcus. "You have no idea what you've done."
Suddenly the air around them grew thick with tension. Emily took a step forward, fingers trembling. The truth clawed its way out. "You'll regret this, Marcus. You have no idea who I've become." Before he could process her words, she strode into the center of the room, eyes locked on Marcus, filled with a fire he hadn't seen before. "You wanted the secrets? Let's see how you handle the truth." With a flick of her wrist, energy surged. The room exploded in a flash of light, drawing Michael into darkness. A shiver raced down his spine. In that dizzying moment, everything shifted. The weight of
Emily's past crushed over him. When the light faded, Michael found himself standing alone, in a different place, with only shadows for company, the sound of screams echoing in the distance. The grasp of dread clawed at his chest. What just happened? And as the realization pierced him, Emily's secrets were far more than he could have ever imagined. The world shifted underfoot, leaving him desperate to uncover what lay ahead, and who he could truly trust now. Michael stood alone in a swirling fog of confusion. The moment fractured. Everything he thought he knew was slipping away. Cool shadows embraced him, echoing with the sound of chaos outside. He fought to breathe. The weight of dread settled thick in his chest. Where was Emily? Where was Jamie? Panic gripped him tighter as he took a step forward. "Please, not now," he whispered into the darkness. A soft rustling caught his attention. Out of the corner of his eye, a small object glinted on the ground. He bent down, heart racing, smaller pieces of glass scattered around it. Then he saw it clearly. A locket, silver and beautifully intricate, half buried in the debris. He picked it up, fingers trembling, wiping away the dust to reveal its smooth surface. It clicked open, and he sucked in his breath. Inside was a photo of Emily, radiant and smiling. On the opposite side, an image of a boy, no, older than Jamie, hair tousled and eyes bright. The resemblance was uncanny. "What the hell, Michael?" A voice broke through the heavy air, cutting through his rising dread. It was Eliza, slamming the door behind her, panting and wild-eyed. "You need to come. They took Jamie. The men in black. They're after what he knows." Every ounce of fear turned into burning anger. "You knew something. You were keeping secrets." "I didn't know," Eliza yelled back, backing away slightly, as if Michael's fury was palpable. "It's not just about Emily. There's more at play here." "More? What does that even mean?" He gripped the locket, heart racing. "Fate intertwines, Michael. Your son is the key, that boy, in the locket." His head spun. "What do you mean? If Jamie is a part of this, then what the hell is Emily really?" Suddenly,
A low rumble erupted outside. The ground shook, sending a tremor through the walls. A light shone through the cracks of the door, bright and fierce, illuminating them both. "Eliza," he shouted, grabbing her wrist. "We have to move." Before they could turn, the door exploded inward, showering them with fragments of wood and splinters. A dark figure stepped through, silhouette stark against the light behind him. "Damien, enough of this. I warned you. Now it's time to face the truth." His voice thundered. "Eliza, Michael." He stormed toward them, but just as
He reached them, his face twisted in horror, as if something unseen had gripped his heart. A scream pierced the air. No! Out of the mass of shadows behind him surged a girl, tiny, maybe 7 or 8, wild hair framing a terrified face. "Daddy!" she cried, reaching for Damien. "Chloe," he gasped, stumbling back, eyes wide in disbelief. The weight of the revelation crashed over Michael like a tidal wave. "Chloe? What the hell?" His pulse thundered. The air shifted, thick and heavy with a truth he never imagined. Damien was frozen, caught between rage and despair, every emotion warring on his face. I didn't know you'd have to see her like this." "See her like what?" Michael demanded, confusion spiraling into anger. "What does this mean?" Eliza turned, eyes darting between them. This changes everything," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. And just like that, the room shifted again. Jamie was no longer just Michael's son. He was connected to all of this. Emily, Damien, secrets hidden beneath layers. Everything started to unravel. "Michael, you don't understand." Damien's voice cut sharply through the chaos. "Chloe is the reason they're after you. After Jamie. It was never about Emily." As the truth hung heavy in the air, a deafening crash echoed outside again, shaking the walls harder this time. The shadows shifted as several masked figures advanced toward the door, their intentions clear. "Run!" Michael shouted, tugging Eliza's arm. "Choose wisely, Michael." Damien's voice followed them, low and dangerous. "If you protect Jamie, you risk losing him forever." The world exploded into chaos as they bolted for the back door, heartbeats pounding in sync with their steps. Uncertainty loomed over them, and as they dashed into the night, Michael's mind whirled, leaving him to grapple with the overwhelming question. Who could he trust now that everything he believed was a lie? Michael pulled Eliza through the darkened backyard, the sounds of chaos still swirling behind them. The night was colder, the shadows reaching out like cold hands. He could feel the pounding in his chest, a mix of fear for Jamie and the twisting confusion of everything happening around them. "Where do we go? What do we do?" he breathed, desperation creeping into his voice. They needed to reach the road, find help, but he felt lost in the darkness, every instinct telling him to look back, to ensure Jamie was safe. "Just ahead," Eliza said, her grip tightening on his arm. "There's an old shed. We can hide there." They stumbled towards the shed, heartbeats thundering in their ears. But as they neared the warped door, Michael froze. He could see shadows moving through the trees. Men were shouting, searching. "Eliza, we might not have time." Before he could finish, the door of the shed swung open, and there stood Jamie. He appeared unharmed, but fear clung to him like a second skin. "Dad!" he shouted, running toward them. "Jamie!" Michael enveloped him in a tight hug, relief flooding through him. "Thank God." But Jamie pulled back, eyes wide and frantic. "You have to listen. There's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" Michael asked, feeling the weight of anxiety build again. "Mom, she's not who you think she is. I heard them say it." A chill ran down Michael's spine. "Who, Jamie? What are you talking about?" "Damien and Marcus. They talked about her when I was hiding." Jamie took a shaky breath. "They said she changed after the accident. They altered her somehow. Mom isn't just Mom anymore." The world around them felt like it shifted on its axis. "What do you mean?" Michael demanded, a tight knot of dread coiling in his gut. "Dad, I think Mom isn't even Emily. I heard them mention another name, a name I remember from old family pictures. It's Sophia." The name sent a jolt through Michael. He remembered flickers of conversations from long ago. Whispers about a sister who supposedly drowned when they were young. But then, everything explodes in his mind. "No, it can't be," he whispered, raising his eyes to meet Jamie's. "Dad, I don't know what it means. But something is very wrong."
Suddenly Eliza stepped closer, voice dropping to a hush. I know this sounds insane, but Jamie might be right. I've seen Emily do things that go beyond normal." "Like what?" Michael's brow furrowed. "She moved things, almost like she was manipulating the air around her. I thought it was a trick of light or my imagination, but no. I can't shake the feeling she's been different since she came back." The frantic desperation in Eliza's voice became palpable. A hard gasp caught in Michael's throat. "Then who the hell is she?" The shadows beyond the shed felt closer now, everybody hidden in the darkness, panting and rushing around, every second,
Stretching painfully long. The noise was deafening. Crudely dressed figures prowled the grounds, each searching for something or someone. Then a blinding light pierced the night sky above them, blaring sirens wailing in the distance. Michael squinted up at the glow, heart racing at the realization of a police presence. But amid that comforting panic, their surroundings shifted again. A piercing scream filled the air, shattering the tension. Michael's heart dropped. "Dad." Jamie's voice trembled, cutting through the chaos. That's when they noticed it. Just beyond the shed, a figure emerged, standing tall and strong. The beam of light illuminated the outline, revealing a familiar silhouette. Emily, but as she stepped closer, the moonlight painted her features in stark relief. It was her, yes, but something had drastically changed. Shadows danced around her, twisting and contorting like dark tendrils. "Emily?" Michael blinked, trying to comprehend. But then, with a cold smirk, she spoke. "Not Emily, but I've missed you, Michael." Confusion tightened around his throat. What have you done to her? What are you? The darkness lurked closer, the truth teetering on the edge of revelation. "Everything you believed was a lie," she said, her voice echoing in the night. "Welcome to reality." And just like that, Michael's world detonated. The truths he thought he had clutched fell away, leaving him gasping in the aftermath. Who was she really? And now, what? Had he brought back into their lives? Michael stood frozen, heart racing, unable to comprehend the woman before him. Emily, or whatever she had become, stepped closer, shadows creeping at her heels. Her voice dripped with chilling familiarity. "Not Emily, but I've missed you, Michael." Fear shot through him. "What have you done to her? Who are you?" "Everything you believed was a lie," she said, the darkness around her pulsating. "Welcome to reality." His mind spun. The light of her figure flickered, and suddenly everything he thought he understood crumbled like sand. A spark ignited in the air, crackling with energy as reality itself seemed to bend. "We don't have time for this," Eliza shouted, her eyes darting toward the encroaching shadows. "We need to get out of here, now." But it was too late. With a deafening roar, the ground trembled beneath them. A blinding flash erupted from the blackness around Emily, illuminating the night as if heaven had opened. A shockwave slammed into them, forcing them back. Michael shielded Jamie, instinct kicking in, but then the air exploded, sending them hurtling through a vortex of light and darkness. When the chaos subsided, they found themselves in a different place altogether. The backyard was gone. They stood inside a vast chamber, walls pulsating with strange energy. Flickering lights danced around them like fireflies, casting eerie shadows that shifted with a life of their own. "What just happened?" Jamie stammered, wide-eyed. "Where are we?" Eliza's voice trembled, fear evident on her face. I don't know," Michael managed to say, panic grabbing him. "Emily, tell us what's happening." But Emily, or whatever she was, smirked. "You're not in Kansas anymore, Michael. You're about to discover the truth about everything, about who we really are." And then, with a sweeping motion of her hand, the chamber opened before them like a curtain lifting. On the far wall, a large screen flickered to life, illuminating faces and images blurred yet familiar. Old photographs, family portraits, his family's history, but twisted. "What is this?" Michael whispered, dread prickling at the back of him. His neck. "Your past, Michael," Emily replied, her voice now smooth yet haunting. "The memories you thought you cherished, they were crafted. You are part of something much larger, something hidden." Then she pointed at the screen, revealing a younger version of himself, holding hands with an unfamiliar woman. Somehow familiar, yet distinctly different. A glimmer of recognition struck him as he turned back to Emily. Is that you? That's not possible. How could you be? It's more than just you, darling," she interrupted, her voice colder than the chamber around them. "We share a bloodline, a legacy intertwined with something ancient. You, Jamie, and I, we are bound to secrets that span eons."
"What?" Jamie exclaimed, shaking his head. "This is insane." Suddenly the door exploded apart, sending wood and feathers flying. A group of armed strangers stormed in, chaos erupting. They raised weapons, shouting orders. "Move! Move!" one man yelled, the authority in his voice sending a shiver down Michael's spine. "No, you can't take her," he shouted, stepping in front of Emily, heart pounding wildly. He had to protect her. "Don't be a fool," Eliza yelled, wrestling Jamie behind her. "Get away from her. She's not the same." But in that split second of confusion, a sudden realization crashed upon him like the weight of the world. A truth he never envisioned. The flickering lights and swirling shadows coalesced, revealing something he hadn't seen. Their faces. The armed men were familiar, hauntingly so. No, it can't be. Their eyes were identical to his. "Michael?" Jamie barely a whisper, panic swelling in his voice. "What does this mean? Who are they?" Heart racing, Michael felt the ground shifting again. The layers of his life tangled into a knot tighter than he could ever unravel. Emily now laughed, low and chilling. "You see, Michael? Family is more than blood. They've come to take us back. And you can join us or be left behind." A scream echoed through the chamber. Michael's world shattered. As Jamie clutched onto him, everything spun into darkness. And in that moment, he felt the depths of betrayal. Questions swirled in his mind. Was he just a pawn in some unseen game? What did it mean to be truly lost? Everything hung in the balance, and as the shadows loomed closer, creeping like nightmares coming to life, he realized the fight for his family was just beginning. But a deeper truth awaited. Would he embrace it, or succumb to the darkness? Michael stood frozen, heart racing, the shadows creeping closer as he faced Emily. Or whatever she had become. "Not Emily, but I've missed you, Michael." Her voice was smooth, yet chilling, cutting through the chaos that surrounded them. "What have you done to her?" "Who are you?" His voice trembled as fear coursed through him. Thoughts raced. The fear of losing everything clashed with anger. His son stood beside him, wide-eyed and terrified, while Eliza gripped Jamie tightly. "Everything you believed was a lie," she continued, darkness swirling around her like a cloak. "Welcome to reality." The armed men startled him. They filled the doorway, shouting commands, weapons drawn. "Move, move," one ordered. The air thickened with dread, and Michael felt time freeze. "Get away from her," Michael shouted, instinctively stepping in front of Emily. "Dad, she's not safe." Jamie's voice cracked, urgency fueling his cries. "She's not Mom." "Enough," Emily interrupted, her tone sharp. "I am Emily, and I am more than you realize." Then a snap echoed in the air as she raised her hand. A blinding light surged from her fingers, enveloping the chamber. Michael shielded Jamie, panic crashing over him. But instead of an explosion, the light pulled him in. Colors swirled, everything blurring, reality dissolving. When the wave subsided, they stood in an infinite void, shadows curling and twisting. "What just happened?" Jamie stammered, reaching desperately for Michael's hand. "Where are we?" Eliza cried, glancing around. The ground felt treacherous, as if ready to swallow them whole. A chill crept through the air, the reality of their situation crashing in. Then it hit Michael. They were no longer in
the shed. It was like a dreamscape. He turned to Emily, only to find her face blurred, flickering as if she were glitching in and out of existence. "What are you?" he whispered, dread pooling in his stomach. But she just smiled, that same eerie grin that sent shivers down his spine. "Soon you'll understand everything." And just like that, a ripple surged through the void. The shadows shifted again, and suddenly, they were no longer alone. A figure stepped forward, his face obscured beneath a dark hood. "Michael," the figure called out, voice hauntingly familiar. "You have to listen to me." Michael squinted, confusion swirling like a tempest. "Who are you?" The figure stepped closer, revealing a face that rocked Michael to his core. It was him, a younger version, almost identical but with an unmistakable spark of innocence. "Michael, it's me," the figure insisted, eyes wide with urgency. "You have to remember." As Michael's mind reeled, the memories flooded back, faint echoes of laughter, a life before grief clouded every joy. "But you died," he choked. "No," the younger Michael shouted. "I was taken. There are forces at play you don't understand. You have to fight against it." At that moment, Emily lunged forward, a snarl on her lips. "Stop, you don't know what you're doing." Shadows stretched toward the younger Michael, voracious and hungry, ready to drag him back into the abyss. "Dad," Jamie shouted, panic lacing his voice. "What's happening? Who is he?" The ground trembled beneath their feet as chaos erupted around them. But layer upon layer of shock had already cocooned Michael. A war within his heart raged. This can't be real. It can't be. But then, with a blinding flash of light, everything exploded into darkness once more. The tension split the air, cutting through fear and confusion like a knife, and in the silent void, the undeniable truth crashed down on him harder than any blow. The real Emily, she's still out there, isn't she? The darkness shivered with hidden meanings. But before he could grasp it, the ground split wide beneath him. The two Michaels teetered on the edge, caught in a web of past and present as the abyss beckoned. In that moment, everything hung in the balance. Stronger than fear, Michael's heart pulsed with desperate hope. What did it mean? A chill ran through him. Chaos loomed on the horizon, even as the echoes of their shared past threatened to pull him into the depths. The question hung unspoken between them. Would they banish the shadows, or would the past consume them all? With a shudder, Michael reached out, blind panic gripping his heart. "I won't let you take him," he shouted at the younger version of himself. But the dark figures advanced, shadows stretching like claws, creeping closer, hungry for despair. "Listen to me," the younger Michael cried, desperation flooding his voice. "You can't let the past trap you. You have to choose your path." The echoes threatened to collapse, a whirlwind of confusion swirling around him. Fate pulsed in the air as Michael fought to break free of its grip. "What do I do?" he uttered, his voice almost lost. "Vanish the darkness," the younger version responded, stepping forward into the shadows. "You must remember who you really are and fight for the family in front of you." Emily's form flickered with shadows, morphing like black smoke. "No, you have no idea what they'll do to you," she hissed, her voice edged with urgency. "I know enough," Michael replied, standing tall and turning resolutely towards Jamie and Eliza. They were his heart. They were his family. "We'll take our chances together. We face this together." Shock rippled through Emily, a crack in the facade. "Michael, enough!" he thundered. A rush of defiance surged through him. He took Jamie's hand, gripping it tightly, Eliza's presence a fierce flame beside him. In unison, they stepped forward. The shadows shrieked and recoiled, pulling away like a tide. And for a short breath, clarity broke through the storm of chaos. "Ready?" he asked, his voice steady, meeting Jamie's fierce gaze. "Always," Jamie shouted, determination igniting in his tone.
With a breath, they wove into a circle, reaffirming their bonds. Together, Eliza echoed, placing her hand atop theirs. The air crackled as the shadows writhed, swirling into a vortex of blackness as they fought back. A surge of warmth ignited from within, spiraling outward in one powerful wave. Now, Michael cried. Together, they pushed against the darkness, the love of family surging like a tidal wave. Light flared all around them, blanketing the void, igniting their bodies with a warmth that surged higher, brighter. As it crescendoed, the shadows dissolved, screaming in protest before vanishing like smoke. And just like that, silence enveloped them. They stood in the dim light of the shed once more, the shadows behind them gone. Overwhelming relief washed through him, but there was a heavy ache in his chest, a pain that signified both loss and renewal. "Is it over?" Jamie whispered, still holding on to Michael's hand. "For now," Eliza said, slowly, breathless, awe reflected in her eyes. And then, as the adrenaline ebbed, they turned toward Emily, who stood at the edge of the light. "What happens now?" Michael asked, his voice softer now. Protected and weary. Emily hesitated, shadows still flickering behind her. "I wish I could say this is the end. But the truth is, I have to find the rest of what I lost. The part of me that changed." A familiar ache filled Michael's heart, understanding blossoming within the pain. "I will always be here for you, no matter what you discover." Emily's eyes shimmered. "Thank you. I'll find a way to make amends. Perhaps one day you'll see the real me again." As she stepped back into the light, a kind of bittersweet closure resonated deep within him. The love they shared was undeniable, but this chapter was ending. Holding Jamie close, he felt tears prick at his eyes. Together, they had faced darkness and emerged. "Let's go home," Michael said, squeezing Jamie's hand, walking with Eliza by their side. Hope flickered like candlelight within him, fierce and bright. They stepped into a new dawn, faces illuminated by the sun rising on the horizon, bathed in warmth. He turned back one last time, whispering, "See you again, Emily. And now it's your turn to take action. This is the moment to show your support. You have to subscribe right now so you don't miss any exclusive stories coming next. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and keep the stories coming. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this ending. Let's connect. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Your support means everything.